That one's got your germs on it. I don't want it. Okay. Hey, just for argument's sake, can I just get some agreement here? This is not a shoe. This is a thong. I've had this argument with my wife for like about 6 months now. She calls it a shoe. It's not a shoe. It's a thong. This is a shoe. This is a thong. Thank you. That's right. Okay, now that I've got that out, I shall start. I can't, Leslie prayed that I would be calm. I can't guarantee I'll be calm because when I talk I get a little excited. And anyway, so I've got, actually this isn't a joke. I think this is real. I think this is like an actual story of a mum walking with her child. And I thought it was quite, well, it is funny to some degree. Except it hurts my feelings a bit. But it says, I was out walking with my 4-year-old daughter. She picked up something off the ground and started to put it in her mouth. I took the item away from... Kids do it. I took the item away from her and I asked her not to do that. Why? My daughter asked. Because it's been on the ground, you don't know where it's been, it's dirty and probably has germs, I replied. At this point, my daughter looked at me with total admiration and asked, Mum, how do you know all this stuff? You are so smart. I was thinking quickly and replied, all mums know this stuff. It's on the mum test. You have to know it, or they don't let you be a mum. I don't think that was a mum test. Some people need a mum test. We walked along in silence for 2 or 3 minutes, but she was evidently pondering this new information. Oh, I get it, she beamed. If you don't pass the test, you have to be a dad. Exactly, I replied. It's nasty and it's horrible and it hurts my feelings, but it's funny. No, it didn't happen to me. My son can't talk yet. No more Mr. I don't work here anymore, so what is, oh, that's what the string is, sorry. It was in my way. I've broken it. Sorry, I've broken it. I'm gonna wear it around my neck. Yeah. I can't, okay, that never worked. I don't work here anymore, okay, so I am not Mr. Brazula. You can now just call me Adam because I don't officially work here, so that way you can say, hey, Adam, instead of Mr. P, or not Curtis Stone, as some people are trying to ensue that I look like Curtis Stone. I do not look like Curtis Stone, and I never will look like Curtis Stone, and I will never say the statement. No, wow. Okay. I thought I'd show you quickly, before I start, we have started late and I'm going to try and finish on time. I've got a couple of videos of our son Kale. So some of you might have met Kale, most of you wouldn't have, and you probably haven't seen videos. There's one that is a little bit more like, you know, girls will be like, ah, and then there's one that guys should laugh because it involves poo. Not that you'll see the poo, because that would be a little weird. We saw this guy's kid's poo. No. So we'll show the first one. This is me. He has a certain reaction. If I kiss his neck, he starts to giggle, and his giggle has kind of progressed as time has gone on. It started like this, and it's kind of progressed into a but we got sound. See? How did you go? Okay. So he's doing more and more funny stuff all the time, and this one, the next video, I think he was around about 3 or 4 months, so he's 8 months now, and I started to notice, it literally was probably about week 3 or 4, started to notice that when he pooed, it wasn't just like he, you know, like we poo and like, you know, sometimes it gets stuck and you're on the toilet and you're like, hey! Like, every time he poos, he does that. Every time he poos, not just his face, but his whole body, and he's progressed from there. Now his body doesn't move, but his face is like, I'm not kidding. But this is how, not how it started, but this is when we first started to recognize that His whole body was tensing. You'd have to turn your head, but you can still see. It's a bit of build-up. It gets better.
You don't know why we're laughing, do you?
There's one big one coming. Okay, stop it there. Some people say I'm a terrible parent. But I find that stuff so funny. There's another one where he's like literally 4 weeks old and he's got a similar face, but the camera's here and his eyes like give me a stink eye. Anyway, so what's the big deal? What's the big deal? Apparently you've been talking about what the big deal is over the last couple of weeks. And first week was what's the big deal with Jesus. Second week was what's the big deal with friends. Tonight I'm going to talk about what's the big deal with God's love. What's the big deal with God's love? The Bible talks so much about God's love and people. I'm sure your leaders, especially Nick, has talked about God's love a lot. Well, what's the big deal about God's love? Why do we talk about it? The thing about God's love is that it is unconditional. It's unconditional love. Unconditional simply means without condition or reservation. If something is unconditional, it doesn't have conditions. And unconditional love is rare. It's not normal. We as humans, I don't think we have the ability to love unconditionally. I think it's a part of our human nature to place conditions. No matter how much we want to love unconditionally, no matter how much we think we love unconditionally, we actually love with conditions. I want to love my son unconditionally, and I will do my absolute best. But I'm pretty sure it's human nature to place conditions on love. See, God's view of love is so different to the world's view of love. The world's view of love is all about self. The world's view of love is very self-focused. God's view of love is very others-focused. God's love is all about us. You see, the world's view of love, it makes sure that you get what you deserve. It centers around you and everything you can get. It teaches us that self-centered love is the most important. It even talks about, infatuation is love. Infatuation is not love. When you first, infatuation is attraction or maybe even lust, but it's not love. It's completely different to what love actually is. When you first meet someone and you're together with them and even if you're hanging out and being infatuated does not equal love. They're actually different things. And the words, I love you, are so overused. So overused. God's view of love is that love is meant to be a selfless act. It's meant to be about others because God's love is about us. He loved us enough to send His only Son to die on the cross. John 3:16 says, for God so loved the world that He gave His only Son so that whosoever should believe in Him would have eternal life. God so loved the world, He gave His only Son. I wouldn't sacrifice my son for someone I didn't know. I wouldn't. But I'm not God. God actually did that. He didn't just sacrifice it for His friends and His mates. He sacrificed His only Son for people that didn't even like Him. That's what love is about. What unconditional love is about. God designed love to work like this because this is how He loves. There's a verse in the Bible that it's quoted in lots of weddings. You go to weddings and most of the time 1 Corinthians 13 will be read in some way, shape or form. Because it is like the love verse or the love chapter in the Bible. 1 Corinthians 13. And I'm going to read just a really small part of it. Verse 4 says, love is patient. Love is kind. It does not envy. It does not boast. It is not proud. It is not rude. It is not self-seeking. It is not easily angered. It keeps no record of wrongs. Love does not delight in evil, but rejoices with the truth. It always protects, always trusts, always hopes, always perseveres. Love never fails. It always protects, always trusts, always hopes, always perseveres. It's the thing about, even conflict resolution, when counselors talk about conflict, when you use the word always, it actually can turn something into emotional abuse. You always do this, you never do that. That is classed within emotional abuse, within conflict and within marriages. Always is such a strong word. Yet I think every single word in the Bible is used purposely. He uses, God, through Paul in this chapter, uses the word always on purpose. Love always protects, always trusts, always hopes, always perseveres. Love is meant to be like that because God's love always hopes and always perseveres. God's love is like that because it's unconditional. The world always takes things that are centered in the Bible, that God creates, that are meant to be amazing, and perverses them. Love is meant to be amazing. It's meant to be something that helps us to find value in ourselves and helps us to find belonging and a sense of ourselves. And the world takes what is meant to be fantastic and perverts it, Sex is created to be fantastic within the boundaries of marriage, and there are specific reasons for that. That's a whole other message. But the world says sex is love. Wrong! It's not true. It does not work. And there's not many things I can promise you. That I can promise you. The world says that if you have sex, you'll be in love. Wrong! You look out only for yourself. You take what you need and you'll be happy. Wrong! I feel like I'm sounding like Sheldon here from Big Bang a little bit. Wrong! Bazinga. You take what you need, even the love that you need, and you'll be happy. Wrong! It doesn't work that way. The world takes what God, the devil takes what God designs, what God creates, and he perverses it. He makes it wrong, and he sells lies to us, so we begin to believe lies, even about what love is meant to be. You see, we do place conditions on love. We're not meant to, but we do. I'll love you if you do what I want. I'll love you and I'll care for you if you make me a priority. We're meant to love without conditions. It's hard, but we're meant to. You see, the Bible often talks about love. There are so many verses. And there's one section of the Bible that I want to read to you now. It's a story called the parable of the lost son. You might have heard it before. You might have heard it a number of times. But I want to talk to you about it in relation to God's love for us. In Luke 15, in my mini Bible, verse 11 onwards, this is Jesus telling a story to his disciples, trying to help them to understand a couple of things about God. Jesus' stories were always about trying to help them to understand what he was trying to communicate. In this particular point, it does have to do with God and his love for us. There was a man who had 2 sons. The younger one said to his father, "Father, give me my share of the estate." I'd be like, my dad owns a business, right? When he dies, I'm going to get a chunk of money. A chunk. It is a fair chunk. And I will be pretty well off as a result. And this situation is like me going to my dad and going, "Dad, give me my chunk of money now. Sell your business and give it to me now, because I want it." That's what this guy did to his dad. So, the dad divided his property between them. Not long after that, the younger son got together all he had, set off for a distant country, and there squandered his wealth in wild living, partying, drinking, drugs, going nuts. After he had spent everything, there was a severe famine in that whole country, and he began to be in need. So he went and hired himself out to be a citizen of that country, or to a citizen of that country, who sent him to his fields to feed the pigs. Go from living in a mansion to living with pigs and feeding them. He longed to fill his stomach with the pods that the pigs were eating, but no one gave him anything. Another gospel actually talks about the fact that he would get down on his hands and knees and he would eat from the troughs that the pigs were eating from, because he was so hungry. When he came to his senses, he said, "How many of my father's hired men have food to spare, and here I am starving to death? I will set out and go back to my father and say to him, 'Father, I have sinned against heaven and against you. I am no longer worthy to be called your son. Make me like one of your hired men. Please take me back.' So he got up and went to his father. But while he was still a long way off, his father saw him and was filled with compassion for him. He ran to his son, threw his arms around him and kissed him. The son said to him, 'Father, I have sinned against heaven and against you. I am no longer worthy to be called your son.' But the father said to his servants, 'Quick, bring the best robe and put it on him. Put a ring on his finger and sandals on his feet. You know, the best of the best. A ring filled with diamonds and some sweet Nike kicks, and bring him on and chuck him on him, because, you know, my son is back. Show him nothing but love and care. For this son of mine was dead and is alive again. He was lost and is found.' So they began to celebrate." And the son went, and took all that money and then went away. You think, any earthly dad, not any earthly dad, some would be angry and bitter at that. And then to come back and go, I told you, yeah, you can come and you can, do a little bit of work here and you can work it off for the rest of your life. I told you. But no, this story paints a picture of a dad that stood at the gates waiting for his son to come back, and as soon as he saw him, ran to him, threw his arms around him, and threw this massive party. Killed the fattened calf, the one they'd been fattening up for a while so they could have for a sweet banquet. They did everything the best because the son had come back. That is the kind of love that God has for us. Unconditional, without condition. No matter what we do, no matter how we act, He still loves us, no matter what. And I love that about this story, how it shows that kind of love. I don't know about you, whether you've ever felt a real caring and a warmth from someone, that no matter what you do, they will still love you. We're meant to actually feel that from our parents. But the truth is that we often don't. Parents can be dealing with their own issues and their own hurts. And they can't give that to their kids. But we're meant to get it from them, and we're meant to get it from God. It's actually when you really have a relationship with God, when it's real, that sense of love cannot be compared to anything else. And what I want to do tonight, we've got about 5 or 10 minutes left. I want to pray for some people. Because there will be people here tonight that, this sense of love that I'm talking about, that you can experience from God, that sense of, I love you no matter what you do. That sense of love they would have never, ever felt themselves. Ever. And it is so important. And I want to give that opportunity to actually experience that love. So let's get every head bowed and every eye closed. This is just a point of respect. Just to respect other people's privacy, to respect what's going on. I want to start, there's 2 things I want to do. I want to start by giving you an opportunity to get to know God. You may have never, ever had a relationship with God. You may have never heard about it. You may have no idea what I'm talking about. Or You may have once been in a place where you had a relationship with God, where you know what it felt like to have that kind of love to some degree. But like that prodigal son, you took everything that you could and you ran away to live the wild lifestyle, like the Bible talks about. You could be in either of those categories. And if maybe we'll play some music real low, what I want to do is I want to give you an opportunity to actually get to know Him, to start that relationship. This love that I'm talking about, this unconditional love that we all crave. Every single one of us craves that real sense of love because we're wired up to receive it. And when we don't get it, we start looking in every place we possibly can. Boyfriends and girlfriends, parties, drinking, in everything we possibly can. When we don't get it from our parents from the ages of 0 to 9, then we go out in our teenage years and we try and find it ourselves. And it doesn't work. I've been there and I've done it. And it messed me up. So what I want to do, just to start with, is to give you an opportunity to begin that relationship with God, or to come back to that relationship with God that allows you to experience that love. The unconditional love that we all crave. If that's you, if you want to make that decision tonight, with every head bowed and every eye closed for this particular situation, just stick your hand in the air. All you stick your hand in the air is saying, you know what, that's me, yep, I see that hand. You're saying, I need that, I want that relationship with God. I want to start that. Yep, I see those hands, that's cool. There are a few hands going up. I just want to keep this going for another minute or two. I don't want to rush it. You know, I am married, I have a kid. And when I made this decision when I was 18, it's still the most important decision that I have ever made. Because it took my life from being in complete darkness and hating myself to actually living with unconditional love. And having a sense, you know what, I'm okay. I'm worth something. That's what a relationship with Christ does. It's what a relationship with God does. And that's what I'm talking about tonight. If that's you, I've seen about 7 or 8 hands go up. I don't want to miss anyone. I don't want anyone to miss the opportunity to start that relationship. Once more looking around. Yeah, I see that hand in the back. It's cool. Once more looking around. If that's you, stick your hand up because I want to pray for you. Yeah, I see those hands. It's cool, guys. Yeah, I see that hand. It's awesome. Guys, don't be afraid because of what your friend next to you will think. 10 years down the track, when you don't even know that friend anymore, you've got to look back and think back to this moment and go, man, best decision I ever made. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pray for every single person that put their hand up. There's about 10 or 12 of them. And then I'm going to actually ask another question. But I want to pray first. God, I pray for every single person that put their hand in the air. I thank you for the courage and the boldness that they have. And I thank you, Lord, that you see their heart. You know where they're at. You know the desires that they have. And God, this beginning, the journey they're starting tonight will change the rest of their lives. Knowing you, having a relationship with you, will open up the door of their heart to actually experiencing that unconditional love that actually helps them to understand and know that they are worth something, that they are important, that they are worthy of that unconditional love. I thank you for those 10 or 12 people, and I pray you will bless them right now in Jesus' name, that tonight literally will be the beginning of an amazing journey that turns their life around. From tonight onwards, they have a helper. Because your word says that you will send a helper that we can do life with. I thank you for that in Jesus' name. Okay, just stay in this moment for a second. Another couple of minutes, and then we're going to finish up. What I want to do is that those you may already be a Christian. You may not. You may not feel comfortable to put your hand up. That's fine. What I want to do is, and I'm going to get a couple of the senior leaders that you've already been talked to, you know who you are. They're going to come up and help me pray for people down the front. What I want to do is say, if you are in that place where you know, you so desire that sense of love, that unconditional love. The love that I talked about tonight, the love that only God can give us. If you so desire that love, I want to pray for you. And even though there's other helpers praying down the front, my goal is to pray for everyone that has the boldness to come down. Because I know what it's like to be in that place where you do not feel that unconditional love, where you feel like you are worthless and you have nothing to give and you have nothing worthwhile on the inside. If that's you, I want to ask you to come down the front so that I can pray for you. I'm going to get everyone to stand and we'll start praying and we'll get the worship music going and I'm going to pray first off just for God's presence to be here. Because there are people here tonight that need that sense of love. There will be people here tonight, I guarantee that there are young people here tonight that are struggling so desperately because they have no sense of love. And they just feel empty and void. If that's you, if you feel empty and void, you need that sense of love I've talked about. Then you need that courage and boldness to come down the front. So if everyone can stand to their feet, just stand where you are. And if that's you, I want you to step down the front. It takes boldness and courage, especially to be the first person. I want you to step down the front. We're going to actually crank the music, not crank it, we're going to turn the music up. And we're just going to do this for a couple of minutes. What I ask is that you respect what's going on down here, that you don't start lots of chatter, that you can respect and those leaders can come forward if they want and we can pray for the people that have the boldness and the courage to step forward. But if that's you, don't miss this opportunity because you're afraid. Don't live in fear of the person standing next to you or what they're going to think about you. Have the courage in this moment to step forward and to receive what you know you need on the inside. It's not a want, it's a need. You can, and the whole time we're praying, you can step forward. It doesn't have to be right now. Okay, we're going to do this for 5 to 10 minutes. We will release you in a couple of minutes. So just respect what's going on, guys. You can worship if you want, or just be quiet. Cool. Ladies, if you want to come and pray, let's do it.